What happened in that season? Dak Prescott goes to the Bay against the San Francisco 49ers and completely pisses down his leg. That's what happened in that season. Dak Prescott became a punchline.
Playoffs. Dak Prescott played horrible. He played even more horrible. And then he played astronomically ass.
Like, what else can you do for Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott became a punchline because he didn't know how to punch the football over the line. That's why Dak Prescott became a punchline. I'm not going to...
When someone doesn't give you an answer, that is your answer. In this league, reputation is a currency that general managers spend like water. But the moment the postseason lights turn on, the cold reality of production always catches up. The mainstream sports media wants you to believe that the annual Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl hype is built on a solid foundation of roster genius and elite quarterback play. They want you to think that Jerry Jones has finally assembled a coaching staff and a roster that can break the 3-decade-long curse. You just heard it yourself, the narrative that Dak Prescott is a victim of roster building. A quarterback who doesn't get the respect he deserves. But the truth is 100 times worse. The media wants to protect the star on the helmet. But when the season is on the line, the reality of what happens on the field is a total disaster that is spiraling out of control. We have seen franchises rise and fall. But we have never seen a team so fundamentally trapped in its own hype cycle as the Dallas Cowboys. The consensus is fracturing. The fan base is turning on its leaders. And the moment the playoffs kick off, the narrative war is officially declared. The media has spent years painting Dak Prescott as an underappreciated hero, a top-tier quarterback who can do no wrong even when the team implodes. They want to protect the image of the golden franchise, the face of the NFL, and they will bend the statistics in any direction necessary to ensure they remain at the top. But some figures in the league are finally starting to speak the truth, challenging the mainstream narrative and delivering a psychological shock to the NFL establishment.
About as we get set for training.
Oh, I can't wait for the Cowboys hype. It's that time of year, y'all. We get excited about the Cowboys.
Let's start in July. When the heat hits the training camp and the annual media circus officially rolls into town, the sports complex wants you to believe that the Cowboys are the model of modern efficiency. A team that can transition from one disappointment to the next without losing their swagger. They want you to think Mike McCarthy is a coaching mastermind who can guide this team back to the promised land. But look at the actual hype. Every single summer. Like clockwork. The sports talk shows begin to scream about how this is the year the Cowboys finally put it all together. They talk about the offensive line, the playmakers on the outside, and how the offense is destined to be the best in all of football. And honestly, it's hard not to look at the paper and get a little excited. They have a receiving corps led by CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens on the outside. A tandem of absolute dogs who can make any quarterback look like an MVP. They have an offensive line that has been rebuilt with first-round talent, designed to protect Dak and pave the way for a dominant running game. There is no reason to be concerned about this offense during the regular season. They have the talent. They have the experience. And they have a quarterback who has proven he can put up video game numbers when the pressure is off. But while the offense gets all the headlines, the real questions have always been on the other side of the ball.
All your questions. It's a brand new defense. The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. Nick,
Of course.
Where have you been?
Super Bowl!
They are back. The star, Jerry.
The Cowboys knew they had to fix their defensive identity, which is why they went out and made some major moves this offseason. The front office brought in Christian Parker as the new defensive coordinator, hoping to inject some discipline and aggressive play calling into a unit that struggled when it mattered most. They drafted Caleb Downs, the stellar safety who is expected to revolutionize their secondary. They are welcoming back a healthy DeMarvion Overshown at linebacker, a player they expect to be a sideline-to-sideline monster. And they signed Jaron Kearse, a veteran safety whom the coaching staff absolutely loves for his leadership and physical presence. The fan base is so hyped that you have people on national television claiming that all their questions have been answered, that this brand new defense is the final piece of the puzzle, and that the Cowboys are officially going to the Super Bowl. But this level of optimism is completely detached from the historical reality of this franchise. It is a brutal cycle of hope and anxiety that always ends in the same painful place. We have watched this movie before, and we know exactly how it ends. The media wants you to believe that a new defensive coordinator and a few draft picks are enough to change 30 years of history. But they are ignoring the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
At the end of the last year, which isn't saying all that much, but they were better. And I think this team can be dangerous.
Kyle loves the hype.
I'm just so excited to be on ESPN.
The defenders of the star will tell you that this team is dangerous. And on paper, they might be right. If everyone stays healthy and the new defensive scheme clicks, they have the potential to compete with anyone in the NFC. But the Cowboys are living on the edge of a knife. Their success is entirely dependent on a quarterback who has built a reputation for failing under pressure. The sports media loves to debate whether Dak Prescott is underrated or overrated, but they are missing the forest for the trees. Dak is an amazing regular season quarterback, one of the best we have seen over the last decade. He can drive the ball down the field, execute play action at an elite level, and put up statistics that make him a permanent fixture in the MVP conversation. He finished second in the MVP voting last year for a reason. He won 15 straight home games, turning AT&T Stadium into a fortress where opposing teams went to die. But when the playoffs start, all of those regular season achievements are erased. The metrics don't lie. And when you look at Dak's playoff record, it is a staggering indictment of his ability to perform when the stakes are at their highest.
And that's the reason why
defense played well.
I hate when I bring up other quarterbacks and people are like, oh, you don't say anything about Dak. I'm saying it right now. Dak Prescott is not good enough in the playoffs. Yeah. He has not been. And we're not going to win a Super Bowl if he continues to play like that. Yeah. We can't.
That's the crazy thing.
Let's look at the actual numbers, because the media wants you to forget them. In 7 playoff games, Dak Prescott has managed only 2 wins. Even more damning is the fact that in only one of those games did he finish with a positive touchdown to interception ratio. That was the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tom Brady's final season, where Dak played out of his mind, throwing 4 touchdowns and no picks. But if you remove that single game, his playoff statistics become a total nightmare. Without the Bucs game, his ratio drops to 10 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. If you remove the rookie year loss to the Packers, it becomes 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. This isn't a small sample size anomaly. It is a consistent pattern of play. Dak Prescott has faced an opponent with a better roster only once or twice in his entire playoff career. Yet he has walked away with a losing record. The media wants you to believe that Jerry Jones has failed to build a team around him. But that is the biggest lie of this offseason. Jerry has gifted Dak with first-round draft picks and all-pros at every single position. He walked into the league playing behind an offensive line featuring Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith, one of the greatest lines ever assembled. And when that line aged, Jerry went out and drafted Tyler Smith and rebuilt the unit into another top 5 force. He has thrown to Dez Bryant, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. He has had Ezekiel Elliott in his prime. What else could a front office possibly do for a quarterback? The truth is that the Cowboys' playoff failures are not a roster issue. And they are not a Jerry Jones issue. They are a Dak Prescott issue. In the last 3 playoff eliminations, Dak didn't just struggle, he completely imploded. In the 2 matchups against the San Francisco 49ers, the Cowboys' defense did its job, holding an explosive offense to winnable scores. But Dak went out there and turned the ball over, missed open receivers, and looked completely overwhelmed by the moment. He played horrible. Then he played even more horrible. And then, in the home wildcard game against the Green Bay Packers, he played astronomically ass. He went up against the youngest team in the league, a Packers roster with an average age of 24, and threw 2 critical interceptions, including a pick six that put the Cowboys in an insurmountable hole. He pisses down his leg every single time he faces elite postseason competition. And yet, the media continues to argue that he is underappreciated. They want to talk about his second-half yards in the Packers game, ignoring the fact that those yards came in garbage time after the game was already decided. It is a psychological block that Dak has shown no signs of overcoming.
11 in a row. And, probably 8 weeks into that stretch, I remember asking him, I said, Dak, how are you doing this? How are you getting these guys to play for you? Because the guys on our team absolutely loved playing.
What makes this situation so tragic is that Dak Prescott has all the intangibles you want in a franchise leader. He has the locker room's respect. He has the work ethic. And he has a unique ability to connect with his teammates. His former head coach, Jason Garrett, shared a story from Dak's rookie year in 2016 that illustrates this perfectly. Dak was thrust into the starting lineup after Tony Romo and Kellen Moore went down with injuries. He lost his first game, but then went on an 11-game winning streak. Garrett recalled asking Dak how he was getting these veteran players to fight for him, noting that Dak never made grand speeches or yelled on the sidelines. Dak explained that his focus was entirely on building genuine relationships. He would spend hours in the locker room after practice, playing hamper basketball with 15 or 20 defensive players just to build chemistry. It was a masterclass in leadership from a rookie quarterback, and it proved that he had the emotional intelligence to lead a locker room. But in this league, locker room chemistry and regular season popularity don't win Lombardi trophies. You can play all the hamper basketball you want, but if you can't punch the football over the line when the season is on the line, you will always be a punchline. Jerry Jones is now facing the ultimate franchise dilemma. He has spent years defending Dak, paying him market-setting contracts, and building elite rosters to give him every opportunity to succeed. But the cycle of regular season hope and playoff disaster is starting to take its toll. The fans are tired of the July hype. The media is starting to see through the excuses. And the front office is running out of ways to restructure the salary cap. The Cowboys are stuck in a prison of their own making. They can't win a Super Bowl with Dak playing the way he does in January. But they also can't afford to let him walk and start over at the quarterback position. It is a franchise nightmare that has no easy solution. And that brings us to the ultimate question. Did Jerry Jones commit franchise suicide by locking himself into the Dak Prescott era? Or is Dak still the only quarterback who can lead this team to a Super Bowl if the new defense under Christian Parker can finally carry the load? Run to the comments right now and let me know what you think. Because the Cowboys season is about to begin, and the pressure has never been higher.